Hi, friends and members of Living Hope. I just wanted to extend a personal greeting and give you a sort of a video face update on where things are and how the church is being the church. We have experienced just a tremendous amount of change in the last week. We're in uncharted territory, but I want to remind you that God's not surprised by this. And last night at our session meeting, we started with a devotion based on Psalm 46. I just want to share the first couple verses of that. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, even though the earth gives way. And that's really been our experience. The old normal seems to be gone, and almost already the good old days. Time continues to go forward. We make new adjustments. But that psalm ends with this instruction: "Be still and know that I am God." And so I want to just encourage us in all this change to remember who Almighty God is and whose we are because of his great love for us. As other things continue to be revealed to have limited power and scope, we rejoice that his power and authority have been revealed for us. So we are created for connection. Now, the very first part of our vision or our discipleship process is we connect to God and to one another. And that's going to continue to be a challenge as we continue to enter into this season of social distancing. And one of my pastoral concerns for all of us, both members and friends of Living Hope, but people in general, is that we are going to become increasingly isolated. And I want us as a church to try to do whatever we can to help minimize that experience. And so the session decided last night that trying to honor best practices for everybody in this crazy pandemic, that we are going to record a worship service. You'll receive an email to say when it's available. You will have the link will be posted on the website as well. And we just encourage you, and I want to encourage you, if you can, worship at 10:30 so that we would all worship sort of together at 10:30. And it'll be a shortened version of what we have. There'll be some places for you to respond as if it were a normal service. And we really want you to be intentional, reading the daily devotion, spending time in thought and prayer, and also spending time in worship, connecting to God. The reason that Psalm 46 has power is that because we know who he is and because we're connected to him, we can be still and know that he's God. We can have the peace which passes understanding. So I want to let you know that that's coming. I want to encourage also for our RAVE groups to meet via Zoom, and particularly on Sundays, to set a time when you would watch it separately, but then immediately after that you would gather together for a time of discussion about the sermon and then a time of prayer. Zoom is a teleconference through your phone or through the computer. And Session tried this out last night for our virtual session meeting as we all met from different locations. It was very effective, but we want to make that available to our RAVE leaders so that they can orchestrate more meaningful connection. And if you have not joined a RAVE group, but this would be a particular blessing to you, please contact me and we will get you connected to one of the groups that you might be able to virtually connect better in this season. And so that'll go out there here soon. And again, I want you to know that we're going to not gather for worship this Sunday, which will be the 22nd of March. And Pastor Ronnie and I are putting together the worship service that you might be able to enjoy that and be a part of it. Session last night met and wanted to remind people that you can continue to give both toward the general fund and toward the building fund by sending your offerings to the church P.O. box. That'll be in the text of this email as well, where to send it, just so you don't have to write it down. But we continue to move forward, and our church continues to try to do all sorts of things for the glory of God. Second, I want to continue to encourage you to try to reach out in the best way you can to minimize that isolation for others. And so I want to encourage you to call a couple people each day, maybe write cards to some of our folks that can't be visited in person, like Sally Honkanen or Joan Tuffley. And think about just people in general, both inside our congregation and outside, who might be increasingly isolated in this time. And we really have the opportunity to make meaningful connection and to catch up with people. Even last night, it was just great to see the elders' face, even through a video screen, and to hear their laughter and to see their smiles. So don't minimize the opportunities you have through the various means that we have to connect with one another. Even virtually can make a big difference. Continue to pray for one another. Continue to lift folks up. Last, I just want to leave you with a word of encouragement. The church continues to be the church in every season. God is not surprised by this, and God continues to call his church to remember that first, we've been blessed by his love and his grace, and second, he sends us out to be a blessing. And although that looks a little different and might take some creativity, we can continue to do that in big and small ways. You can drop meals off and never have contact with other folks. You can continue to reach out to people. We did a great job this past week in a very short window, providing 80 lunches for students who were no longer at school, that they might have some food. And so I want to thank Brian Grabowski and Nancy Velick for setting that up in conjunction with Brian Evans and 5.7 Church. But really, in about 24 hours, we produced 80 lunches, and people, even after that, had brought some more supplies if we get the opportunity to do that again. And last, I just want to just give you, as a pastor, how it warmed my heart to see your desire to worship the living Lord last week. Last week, we had every reason not to come. You've been told it's dangerous to gather with other people. You've been told that if you're in certain risk groups that you shouldn't come. It was at a different time, a different place, a place that many hadn't been there before. And the saints showed up to worship. And even people who couldn't, they called and they were apologetic. I'm sorry I couldn't do this. And we know that we know your hearts. God knows your heart. And rejoice that we're a congregation who has been touched by the love and grace of God, and that it is our heart's true desire to worship. So although that's going to look different in the next couple of weeks, and who knows how long that's going to take, we rejoice that we know Christ, that we get to worship him, whether that's in ones or twos and threes, or maybe connecting through video with our groups afterwards. God knows our hearts, and we want to worship him in spirit and in truth. So know that you're in my heart. Know that I'm praying for you. Know that the devotions took a turn this week to better address where we are and what's going on. If you have questions or concerns, comments, we'd love some feedback on the worship service as well, that we might adjust it to be a better tool. We're really trying our best, and our hearts are in the right place, but we rely on you also to how can we strengthen this experience for you. Take care, and God bless, and know that you're in our hearts.